Midnight Moon. Written by Suzana Thompson. Narrated by Sarah Sampino.
Chapter 10. I opened my eyes to daylight and immediately remembered the events of the previous night. My back was turned to the wolf, and I shifted to my other side to check if it was still there. Then I froze at the sight of Damien asleep on my bedroom floor. He was sprawled out on his back, and he was stark naked. I would have normally looked away in embarrassment if I found myself in such a situation, but I was too stunned to do anything else but stare at him. Yes, I had suspected that the wolf was Damien, but seeing him there in the flesh was a shock. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. Even when he finally stirred, I didn't move or avert my eyes. He looked up at the ceiling first, before his gaze traveled over one section of my pink wall and down to the pink carpet he was lying on. In my defense, it was the color I had chosen for my room when I was 10, and it hadn't been repainted since. I wasn't concerned with that at the moment, however, because he had now noticed me staring at him. He made a move to cover himself and halted with his hands hovering awkwardly above his crotch.
"Either take your clothes off too, or stop looking at me,"
he grumbled. I finally tore my eyes away from his body. "Sorry, I'll bring you something to wear," I offered, and scrambled out of bed to step around him.
"I'm too tired to change into my pajamas,"
he imitated me sarcastically. I paused in the doorway and fought the urge to glance back at him. "You understood me?"
"Yeah, I just couldn't speak back to you,"
he said. "I'll be right back," I told him, because it was too difficult for me to talk to him without looking at him. Returning with a pair of my dad's sweatpants and one of his t-shirts, I found Damien sitting on my bed with the comforter thrown casually over his lap. Strangely, I was flustered now that he was covered up, when I hadn't been while he was exposed. All I could think about was that he was naked in my bed. "Here." I handed him the clothes and avoided eye contact with him. "I'll be downstairs in the kitchen. The bathroom's down the hall." I used the one downstairs and splashed water over my face. My shower would have to wait until Damien left. Fortunately, my parents had apparently stayed at the hotel last night, and they probably wouldn't be home until noon. I decided that Damien and I would have a quick breakfast of milk and cereal before I drove him home. He looked funny wearing my dad's pants, because they were short on his taller frame. The ill-fitting clothes seemed to have restored his confidence, however, and he sauntered into the kitchen like he was wearing the coolest style. I was a bit surprised that he hadn't acted cockier when he was naked. No pun intended. Oh boy, I wasn't going to allow my thoughts to go in that direction. Of course, I already knew about the male anatomy. I'd seen pictures of it in health class, but those had been drawings. Seeing it in the flesh was much more memorable, and I wasn't likely to forget it anytime soon. Not to mention the rest of his hot body. He smirked at me, and I felt paranoid that he could hear my thoughts. What did I know about the abilities of a werewolf?
"I guess you don't cook."
Oh, that was why he was laughing at me, I thought in relief. "What's wrong with cereal? Do you always have to eat bacon for breakfast?"
"Not always,"
he said.
"It's just that today's my birthday. But I'll let you off the hook since you didn't know that, even though I did save your butt last night."
"Is it really your birthday?" I questioned uncertainly.
"Yeah,"
he confirmed.
"I'd show you my driver's license to prove it, but that was in my wallet, which was in my jeans, which are not here. I'll need you to drive me to get my car, by the way."
I had opened my mouth to ask where his car was, but he didn't give me the chance to speak.
"And why the hell did you go out last night?"
Damien demanded, suddenly angry.
"You knew it was the full moon and what happened to Blair last time."
"Sit down," I urged him. "I'll tell you while we eat. I'd like to get you out of here before my dad comes home and sees you wearing his clothes." He obliged and grabbed the carton I'd set out on the table, pouring milk into his bowl before helping himself to the cereal. I explained about the text which was sent from Taylor's phone, but turned out not to be her. She thinks she lost her phone, but it looks like someone took it.
You got the text after dark?
Damien asked. I'd already told him that I had, but I answered him. Yes, that's why I thought the wolf was after her. I mean, the bad wolf, I clarified.
Wolves can't use phones.
He crunched the cereal in his mouth as he pondered this problem.
How could it send you a text? Someone has to be working with it.
Working with the wolf? I inquired in bewilderment. Who would do that? Who could do that? I mean, how is it possible?
It's possible if someone is able to control the wolf,
he said. How could they do that? You said yourself that you understood me, so you still had control of your mind. Only your body changed. I looked down at my bowl in embarrassment after I mentioned his body.
Some kind of mind control,
he speculated.
That's what it has to be.
But why? I exclaimed. To kill Blair and me and to turn you into a werewolf? For what reason?
I don't know,
he declared in frustration. Well, who's the white wolf? I questioned.
I don't know that either,
he sighed. How could you not know? I complained. It helped you fight the bad wolf. He set his spoon down into the now empty bowl with a clatter.
I never even knew it existed before last night. Blair sure could have used its help,
he added bitterly. That was the first time I'd heard him express any regret about what happened to Blair, and it made me like him a little more as a person. Maybe it's new to being a wolf, like you.
Maybe,
he said, and stood up to take our bowls to the sink. I got up to put away the milk and cereal box. Bryce is new here. Did he ever talk to you about the night you were attacked?
Who?
Damien asked. Bryce, I reminded him. The guy who talked to us in the hallway that time when you were saying all that stuff? He still didn't seem to remember.
What stuff?
I looked away from him uncomfortably. See you, hear you, all that stuff. He moved closer to me and caught my gaze again.
Taste you.
I leaned further back when he tried to kiss me. I didn't brush my teeth yet.
Me either,
he told me.
But I thought you wouldn't mind, not after we spent the night together.
We didn't, I began as Damien raised his eyebrows. Well, not like that.
I don't know,
he countered in a playful tone.
I did wake up naked in your room.
I flushed at the memory. I noticed.
I noticed you noticing.
He smirked at me. I'm not used to seeing naked guys, I declared defensively.
So, you've never seen one before?
He laughed as more heat flooded my face while my mind went straight to the gutter.
I meant a naked guy.
I know what you meant, I lied.
You thought I was talking about my—
We have to go, I huffed. Where's your damn car? His green eyes were still filled with amusement, but he backed off.
At Mapleside.
You drove there too? Now that I thought about it, that would have been some distance for him to go on foot, even in his wolf form.
I realized that I couldn't stay home, in case the change really happened, so I told my parents that I was sleeping over a friend's house, he explained. I guess I picked the orchard because it was a familiar place. We used to go there when I was a kid.
Us too, I said. He gazed thoughtfully at me.
It's one of us.
What is? I asked in confusion.
The guy controlling the wolf,
he stated.
It's a local, someone who knows the area.
I could see his point. Mapleside Orchard was popular with families in the community, but it wasn't known outside of the local area. Bryce might have heard about it from someone, but who would be talking about an orchard in November? Especially people our age, most of whom probably hadn't been there in years. As we were walking toward the front door, I noticed the overturned pizza box on the floor beside the coffee table. I had forgotten all about the pizza I had ordered last night. How did that happen?
I got hungry after you went to sleep, Damien said.
You ate my pizza? I thought wolves ate deer.
This one prefers pizza,
He remarked with a smile. It was still surreal to think of him as the wolf from last night. I'll clean this up later, I decided as I surveyed the crumbs on the floor. Luckily, there was no carpet in this room, so I didn't have to worry about stains. We were silent for a little while on the way to the orchard, each lost in our own thoughts. How did it feel? I blurted, changing into the wolf.
Remember how restless I was at the mall? Well, it just kept getting worse. I wanted to get away from everything and everybody. I usually go hole up in my room when I feel like that, but I couldn't stand walls yesterday. They felt like a cage, and I wanted to be outside, somewhere with no buildings, so the orchard was the perfect place for that.
Maybe that's why the white wolf was drawn there too, I thought. It was a very lucky coincidence for me, otherwise the bad wolf would have gotten me. Was it going to kill me or turn me into a werewolf? I wondered.
By the time I got there, I felt like I couldn't stay in my car another minute,
Damien continued.
I had to walk, and then I had to run, but then I just stopped and stared at the moon. It was like I was mesmerized or something. The next thing I knew, I had 4 legs instead of 2.
It happened that fast? I asked in amazement.
I don't know,
he answered.
But it seemed like an instant to me. Too bad I forgot to videotape it.
I was surprised by how well he was dealing with all of this. He'd had no control over his transformation, but he didn't seem to be upset by it. How does it feel to be a wolf?
Free,
he replied, without having to think about it.
And strong. I felt free and strong, like I could run for miles. But I couldn't, because I had to protect you.
Why? I wondered. Why do you care about protecting me?
What do you mean, why?
Damien questioned.
I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
Every decent person doesn't want bad things to happen to other people. But why are you focused on me specifically? You never paid any attention to me before this thing started.
You are the one who warned us about it,
he reminded me. That did nothing to change the situation, so I don't understand why you started hanging around.
Me either,
he said, adding to my doubts about what was happening between us.
I just felt like I needed to make sure you were safe. And I was right, because you were obviously a target.
I debated whether to even continue this conversation, but I really wanted an answer. What about the rest of it? Why'd you kiss me? I focused steadily on the road, because I couldn't look at him when I asked that uncomfortable question. Damien apparently had to embarrass me further.
I thought you liked kissing me. It sure seemed like you did.
But where did that come from? This was what had been bothering me, his out-of-nowhere sudden attraction to me. You never even noticed me before.
I did,
he insisted. I mean, except for the time you fell in love with my underwear, I said caustically.
That was what started it,
he admitted.
I didn't really notice you before that, but you got my attention that day.
Great, I muttered. What a beautiful romance this was.
I couldn't ask you out, though, because you weren't.
Hot? I interjected before he could say it.
Popular,
he stated.
Going out with the most popular girls was part of my image, but seeing your panties wouldn't have been hot if you weren't hot.
Damien Stark had just called me hot. I didn't want to be one of those insecure girls who were always fishing for compliments, but I wanted to hear him say it again. You think I'm hot?
You want a demonstration?
The provocative question made my face flame in embarrassment. I was being one of those girls, and he was mocking me for it. At least that's what I thought as I silently watched for his car as we approached the orchard. I spotted it much further down the road from where I had parked last night. He certainly had wanted to be away from buildings, because he had driven past the entrance where the store and bakery were located. The place also had a barn, because they offered hay rides during the autumn months. All of it was closed now that the season was over. I parked several feet away from Damien's car. I'll wait to make sure it starts.
My keys were in my other pocket, he told me. Will you help me look for them?
Yeah, I guess, I agreed half-heartedly. We got out of the car, and I walked around to peer through the fence for his missing clothes. Damien came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. "What are you doing?" I demanded, but I didn't pull away from him. It felt great to have his arms around me.
Giving you a demonstration.
He brought one hand up to move my hair out of his way, before trailing shiver-inducing kisses along my neck. "I haven't taken a shower yet," I protested weakly. I was also uncomfortably aware of still having on the same clothes I'd worn yesterday.
Me either,
he murmured as he pulled me tightly back against him.
Are you turned off?
His teeth gently grazed my earlobe before his tongue flicked over it. I made a small, breathy sound in response.
Me either,
he said in a low, husky voice, while slipping his hand beneath my shirt and gliding it up my stomach. "Stop," I gasped before he reached my chest. He obeyed, but kept his hand splayed over my skin.
Convinced yet?
I didn't think that he expected an answer, so I tried to step out of his arms and continue the search for his keys. He tightened his hold on me and lowered his mouth to my neck, eliciting a moan from me as he sucked on it. "Hey!" I exclaimed. "I think you just gave me a hickey."
Are you convinced?
Damien repeated, with his mouth still hovering over my neck. "Yes!" I yelled. "Don't make any more marks on my skin."
The next one will be on my skin,
he said as he let go of me. I turned to glare at him. "I'm not giving you a hickey, you conceited jerk."
How was that conceited? I was just proving that you're hot. Anyway, I wasn't talking about hickeys. I'm getting a tattoo,
he announced exuberantly. "Let's find your keys already," I said in exasperation and began to climb the fence. He climbed over it in a flash and helped me down.
Don't you want to know what kind of tattoo I'm getting?
Bryce has a wolf tattoo, I told him.
How do you know?
Damien asked sharply. I saw it on his arm, I snapped. How else would I know? Then I realized what he was implying. Why? Where are you getting yours?
On my arm,
he acknowledged, and grinned when I rolled my eyes. We walked without saying anything until curiosity prompted me to give in and ask. Are you getting a wolf too?
Too obvious, he remarked, and not very original under the circumstances.
Then what are you getting? I inquired.
A dragon,
he replied. I snorted. That's original.
Mine will be,
he bragged.
Come with me. I'm going later this afternoon.
I'm not getting a tattoo, I immediately informed him.
Not everything is about you, Clarissa,
he smirked.
Even if you are hot. But you can't get a tattoo if you're under 18 anyway. That's why I had to wait until my birthday. I glanced away from him and noticed the clothing on the ground several feet ahead of us. There it is. I gestured toward it. We surveyed the damage as we approached it. His clothes had ripped apart at the seams when he transformed into the wolf. Damien left them there after retrieving his keys and wallet. I locked my cell phone in the car, he explained. Just in case, so I wouldn't damage it.
I was too caught up in trying to envision him turning into a wolf to comment.
You can watch next time, he promised.
I don't want to see that, I sputtered.
Sure you do,
he insisted.
I can tell.
I do not, I denied hotly.
Yeah, you do,
he declared smugly.
Especially since I'll be naked next time, so I don't destroy any more of my clothes.
I have no interest in seeing you naked, I stated haughtily. I was only staring at you because I was in shock. He laughed.
You were checking me out, Clarissa. Don't try to deny it, because you're not that good of an actress. I've seen all your plays, so I know.
That last part distracted me from arguing with him. "You've seen my plays?"
Yeah,
he said.
I was interested in you after the panty incident, and I found out that you were going to be in the play. So I went to see you.
He shrugged.
Then I went to your next one, too.
"And you enjoyed my terrible acting so much that you went to all of them," I remarked disparagingly.
I didn't say that you were a terrible actress, he countered. Just not a great one. You do okay. And I like watching you. I hated having to miss your last one, but it would have drawn too much attention if I'd shown up so soon after Blair was killed.
Our school performance had been scheduled for the week they ended up having Blair's funeral, and the school had postponed the play until the following week. I had been glad that I didn't have the starring role, because my ability to concentrate hadn't been at top capacity after my ill-fated role as Madame Aurora at the carnival. Now I was on an emotional roller coaster due to Damien's unexpected admission that he'd been following my amateur acting career since freshman year. That was a long time to have an interest in someone just because he'd once seen her panties.
What?
Damien questioned as we returned to his car. "I don't know," I answered, thinking out loud. "I just don't know."
Come on, he urged. It's my birthday. I really want you to be there to see me get my tattoo. Please? I'll come pick you up after I go home and get ready.
He thought that I was debating whether to go with him, but I was questioning this whole weird thing between us. What was it? Were we friends? Dating? What category did our relationship belong in? Did we even have a relationship? Whatever it was enough for me to want more. "Okay," I agreed. "I'll go with you." I made it home before my parents and went straight upstairs to take the shower I'd been craving. I also brushed my teeth after I put on clean clothes. My parents arrived home just as I was about to call Taylor, and I waited to greet them first. "What happened here?" Mom asked as she walked into the living room and saw the overturned pizza box on the floor. "Oh, I accidentally knocked that over last night when I woke up on the couch," I lied. "I was going to clean it up this morning, but I forgot." "You ate the whole pizza by yourself?" Mom questioned in disbelief. Fortunately, Dad had gone into the bathroom upon arriving home. "Damien ate most of it," I told her. "He just watched a movie with me and went home, I swear." "I believe you," she assured me. "But there's no need to mention it to your father." She picked up the pizza box. "I'll throw this out." "Thanks, Mom," I said gratefully. "I'll sweep the floor." The phone rang while I was getting the floor vac. "It's Taylor," Mom told me in surprise after answering it. "She lost her cell phone," I explained as I took the handset from her. "I hate not having my phone," Taylor complained as I walked upstairs for some privacy. "Why haven't you called me? I've been dying to find out what happened." "It was Damien," I confirmed. "He was himself again this morning." "He spent the night?" Taylor squealed. "As a wolf," I stressed, too paranoid about my parents overhearing to tell her about him being naked this morning. "Did he howl?" Taylor asked. I laughed at that ridiculous question. "No, he was still Damien. He just couldn't talk." "Wow," she exclaimed. "That's so cool." "Clarissa!" Mom called out. "My mom's coming," I said as I heard her walking in the hallway. "Clarissa?" she repeated and knocked on my door. I pulled the phone away from my mouth. "Yeah, I'm here," I called out to her. She opened the door. "Damien's here." "I'll be right down," I told her. I spoke into the phone as she walked away. "Sorry, Taylor, I'll call you later. Damien wants me to go with him while he gets a tattoo." "He's getting a tattoo? He should get the one Bryce has. I mean, how perfect would that be?" Taylor gushed. "He's getting a dragon," I said. "That's so cool." I smiled at her enthusiasm. "Yeah, so I'll call you later." My own excitement was absent, until I went downstairs and saw Damien. His green eyes were alight with his anticipation for the tattoo he was about to get, and his mood was contagious. I noticed that his hair was damp, so he had obviously taken a shower too. He looked much better in his own clothes that fit him well, but he'd had enough sense not to return my dad's clothes just yet. He was holding a piece of paper that he had been showing my parents, and he hurried over to share it with me. It was a picture of a dragon on fire, and I had to admit that it was a cool image.
See, it's emerging from the flames, he told me.
It looks like it's on fire, I commented.
It is, he said. It's burning.
He stared at the picture until my dad spoke.
I know that you want to celebrate turning 18, but are you sure that you want to do something that permanent, Damien?
Dad, I whined, embarrassed that he was trying to tell someone else's kid what to do.
I'm sure, Mr. Harris,
Damien replied politely. I was suddenly eager to leave. Is it okay if I go with him?
As long as you don't get one too,
Dad answered. You know I hate needles, I reminded him.
Me too,
Mom shuddered.
I don't think it'll be that bad,
Damien said. It turned out to be bad in a different way than we anticipated. He handed the picture to me after we got into his car. Why is it burning? I asked as I looked at the dragon. He waited until he pulled out of my driveway to answer.
It's me. I'm burning with revenge, I guess.
He didn't sound angry, so I wasn't worried at first. I know you're upset, but you only have to deal with this once a month, and you handled it great the first time, so—
It came after you,
he said in a harsh tone.
It killed Blair, and now it's trying to get you.
But it failed, I reassured him. You stopped it.
Only temporarily, but it'll be back. But this time, I'll be ready for it,
he vowed.
I'll stop it for good.
How? I questioned in an uneasy tone.
I'm going to kill it.
I felt sick hearing him say that. It's a person, I argued. Just like you. That would make it murder.
Not if I kill it while it's a wolf.
He glanced at me and saw my expression.
It's the only way. This thing is a killer, but the police can't stop it.
I tried to calm down. There was lots of time to talk him out of it, since the next full moon wasn't for almost a month. I didn't have to deal with it yet. Too much had already happened this weekend.
You know I'm right about this, Clarissa.
I don't want to talk about this right now, I told him firmly. It's your birthday. We're not talking about this on your birthday.
Okay,
he agreed. We remained silent until we arrived at the tattoo parlor. I handed the picture back to him, and we went inside. I looked at all the designs while Damien discussed exactly what he wanted with the tattoo artist, Jason. Then Damien removed his shirt and sat down in the chair, while Jason prepared to begin working on his tattoo. He offered me a seat too, saying that we would be there for at least a couple of hours. I chose to stand for the beginning, and I never did get to sit down. Despite my aversion to needles, I watched in fascination as ink appeared on Damien's skin, and then disappeared, exactly like disappearing ink. What the fuck? Jason stared at Damien's arm, and then inspected his needle in confusion. I exchanged an intense, charged look with Damien.
I have to go.
Damien practically vaulted from the chair. Jason was slow to react, still completely at a loss as to what he had seen.
Wait.
The word was uttered in a daze. We were already hurrying toward the door, and Damien wasted no time in speeding away once we were in the car. No scars, I mused softly.
What?
Damien questioned. Your shoulder. There's no scar from the bite, I explained. You healed completely, but that's not possible for a regular human. I guess tattoos are kind of like scars. He thought it over for a moment.
Shit. That fucking sucks,
he complained. But you can heal from injuries, I exclaimed, and told him about the werewolf Daphne's grandma had learned about and how quickly his broken leg had healed.
That's amazing, he agreed. But I was looking forward to getting a tattoo.
I let him stew about it until we arrived in my driveway. Sorry that didn't work out, but happy birthday anyway.
Thanks,
he said.
I, don't really want to face your dad right now, so I'm just gonna drop you off.
That's okay. He'll be happy that you chickened out, I teased. He groaned.
At least I didn't brag to my friends about it, or I couldn't show my face at school.
I smiled. I'm pretty sure you could still show your face. People seem to like your face for some reason. I don't know why.
Sometimes you like my face, too,
he stated with a playful smile. Maybe just a little, I allowed. He shifted closer to me, and I leaned in closer to him. We shared a slow, unhurried kiss. Both of us knew that it wasn't going any further than that while we were sitting in my parents' driveway in broad daylight. It was enough to keep my worries about our situation at bay while we parted. Happy birthday, I told him as I gazed into his beautiful green eyes. He was still watching me as I stepped out of the car and turned to walk away.